stuff. Now this guy is Teferi. I think his name is Teferi. Teferi, I think. And he's gonna give his he's gonna subject himself to read 33 manga recommendations. Help me. All right, so he's gonna give his recommendations based on the mangas he's read. Some of them most of them we probably know about. Maybe brand new ones we never heard about. Maybe some diamonds in the rough. We don't know. So with that said, let's give it a play and hear what he has to say. Because we have found some interesting manga recommendations over the time we've been doing this. And some of them was a lot more interesting than others, I will say, and very disturbing. Yes, but it is what it is. So let's see what he says. Let's go.
year-old high school student that makes high effort videos on manga and programming, and I'm about to subject myself to your manga recommendations. This video took about 5 months to make, so bro, hit
Yes.
that like button. I recently asked you guys to send me your manga recommendations with 4 conditions. And before you say anything on why this video is 5 months late, I have a pretty good reason that I will disclose in the comment section. Anyways, the 4 conditions were: 1. You will be mentioned in this video. 2. 1 manga per person, which you guys did not follow. 3. It could have been any manga, whether it was terrible or the best thing in the world. And 4. I will read all of them. I got this video idea from Alex, and to prevent this video from being 4 hours long, bro, I'm only going to read the first couple chapters of each manga. I'm also going to try to make minimal edits because I can already see this video being like an hour long. In planning this video, I actually made an Excel sheet as well and documented everyone who gave me a recommendation. So to retrieve
all right, I don't care.
Let's jump right into this.
Yes, please.
The first recommendation comes from Joit4219, and they told me to read Ultra Heaven, written by Kiechi Kuoki. Cool, I'm butchering that name. Alright, this one was actually super interesting. From what I understand, our protagonist Kabu is in a super dystopian alternate universe in which there exist drugs that can bring any experience to reality. The drugs are more like psychedelics, and Kabu is an addict to these substances, much like everyone else in this world. But not only is he an addict, he's also suicidal, bro. So he goes to these bars to serve the drugs, and he tries combinations of drugs that can possibly kill him. One bartender actually tricked him for a good reason, and the bartender gave him a drug that made him experience death and being reincarnated. After this trip though, Kabu tries to start life over and live for the better, but his friend comes over with drugs and he relapses. Honestly, I rate this manga so far 7 out of 10. I feel like if I kept reading, I would have become hooked to it. It truly does mirror our real world though in a certain aspect of drugs and things like that. I enjoy it a lot though. This next one is from @heyho1202, and he recommended One Piece. It literally would take you 2 seconds to look at my channel, bro. But I'm just gonna assume that he did not have an index finger or that he's partially blind with cataracts. One Piece is by far...
Yeah, I just hate it. Ugh, Jesus Christ, dude. He said, give me some manga recommendations. You gave the probably the most bought manga on the planet. You don't do that. Damn, people don't know how to follow directions. I know how he feels. People just don't know how to follow directions sometimes. It's just wild. It's just fucking wild.
My favorite manga, and I get a lot of joy reading it, so 10 out of 10 rating. Alright, this one comes from @Akan, and he recommended Hell's Paradise, written by Yuji Kaku. Bro, this one was actually way better than I expected. The very first panel, we are introduced to what looks like a straight demon, bro. Bro's just standing on bodies. Our protagonist was a shinobi that came from a village that taught him nothing but murder techniques and ways to kill other people since he was born. So his outlook on life was pretty bleak and saw that life was meaningless. So as Bro is interviewed on his past, he's also on death row and being executed. The first execution attempt, the sword just broke on his neck. His second execution attempt was burning him to the stake, and he ate that like a Thanksgiving dinner. The third attempt was ripping his limbs apart with cows, to which he said it tickled him, bro. So as we can see, he's just a straight immortal demon, bro. Anyways, to sum it up, he turns out not to be a heartless killer that everyone thinks he is, and the only way to get rid of his crimes is to go on a mysterious expedition to receive an immortality elixir. And what makes this interesting is that no one has ever came back alive on an expedition to this place, and they're sending him to go. So it reminds me of the Dark Continent arc on Hunter x Hunter, if you guys know. This was fun to read though. I might read it later on, so I'm giving this like 7 out of 10. This recommendation comes from @ChasingHaze0962, in which he recommended to me read Liar Game by Shinobu Kaitani.
Liar Game, huh?
This case is never going to be solved. We need some answers.
Oh, I heard this movie was. I heard this show was incredibly stupid.
Okay, so there's only really one thing I can say about this manga after reading it. Absolutely amazing, bro. This plot was one of the most interesting for this category of manga. It's kind of complicated, so try to follow me. So there's this girl that gets mailed $1 million, and she was entered into a quote-unquote liar game where she has to 1v1 another random person in Japan for their $1 million, and the one with the most money after the month is the winner. The loser has to go in debt, so she has to try to steal their $1 million and have more than them by the end of the month. Bro, truly intriguing story, and I love how they developed her character by turning her from a kind person into pretty much a con artist, bro. Pretty cool. Might read this later, so 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. This one was recommended to me by Sebastian Michaels 1T.
It's complete. It's done? Oh, okay, good. That's good. That's good. That's actually good. Love to hear that. This one sounds interesting, but I don't know. I feel like I heard this premise somewhere before.
He said read Monster by Naoki Urasawa. Okay, I'm butchering these names. I might have to just stop mentioning them. Okay, so I'll be honest, I have watched the Monster anime and I know how the plot goes down. Super disturbing, bro. If you're into psychological shows or manga, give it a read, but it is super disturbing, but it is one of the best stories in this genre. Like, it rivals Death Note, so I'll give it a 10 out of 10. I recommend if you haven't read it, go read it. Okay, next we have Berserk, which was recommended to me by Venom UV5FW. And I actually already made a video on this particular manga, bro. All it takes is a click to my channel and you'll see that. It is a super popular manga, so if you haven't read it yet,
from now on, if you're going to fucking give him some recommendations and he acts on the internet, and you're gonna recommend something, if you're gonna recommend something that is obviously popular, just type in his name in the search and the thing that you think is popular, see if he did a video on it. Like, these people are just dense. Why would you send him something that virtually everyone's gonna probably give him? Like, it's like you saying Dragon Ball. I'm like, bro, come on, man. Can you guys please hop off the Dragon Ball for like 2 seconds and give me something that is not Goku related?
you'll be in for a surprise. There's a very big climax and plot switch, so go read that. I will not spoil it for you. It's literally about a man living a nightmare, bro. Truly horrific and intriguing. It would be a mistake if I don't give Berserk a 10 out of 10 rating. Definitely one of the best mangas ever dropped. Next up is Keiyoru Hanawa Rin Tusaku, recommended to me by RafCYK1. This one is our first romance manga, so I'm gonna give it a chance, give it a nice analytical read. Okay, so I finished reading and it was kind of boring at the beginning, not gonna lie. It was the typical Romeo and Juliet romance plot, but I did like the main character, Rintaro. He's a super intimidating guy, but he's a really kind person. Other than that, 5 out of 10 so far. Next we have Kichi, recommended to me by Hostia2326 and written by Arai Hideki. He also recommended Kichi Versus, which I assume is a sequel, so I'm just gonna count this as 8 and 9. But for now, I'm just going to check out Kichi for this video. This manga was interesting. It has an interesting plot so far, and I'm interested to see where it goes. From what I understand, Kichi is a troublesome kid, and unlike other kids, he doesn't talk that much. He's always doing rebellious acts. He's a really free spirit, and he's seen as really manly, even for a 3-year-old. I want to read it further and later just because I'm interested to see where this can possibly go. I'll give it a 7 out of 10 so far though. The next manga we have is Oh my gosh. Gekir Ryuchi, or commonly known as Overbleed. I'm just gonna call it Overbleed. This was recommended by @Tanji, which is actually a friend of mine. What's up, Noah? Shout out to Noah. Alright, maybe it's because this is a seinen manga, or maybe it's because my friend recommended it to me and he knows my taste better than just a random person on the internet. But man, I started reading and I just kept going and going. The story was captivating from the beginning. The very first chapter hooked me with our protagonist K and his suicide attempt that went viral on the internet, and it pretty much leads to him becoming a street fighter. I highly recommend this to anyone that wants to read something new. Like, this guy literally had his suicide video on the dark web, and he's trying to find his friend that allegedly died in the suicide attempt with him, but he thinks his friend is now a street fighter and he's looking. It's kind of complicated, but read it. I give it a 9
That
out
sounds
of 10 rating.
complicated as
All right,
fuck.
next we have the Kingdom Hearts manga.
Wait, that's how do you lose someone that you? Maybe it's just me. I don't know how that makes any sense, but okay.
Which is something I did not expect, bro. This comes from @AustinNotka7196, and the mangaka is known as Shiro Amano. So let's give this a read. Okay, so I know Kingdom Hearts is a huge thing already, but I actually never knew what it was. It had a very One Piece like beginning, because our main character, who I'm assuming is Sora, just got done building a boat and he wants to explore the world. Like, he wants to find One Piece or something. This one is interesting because I think it's Disney's take on anime and manga, and trying to appeal to the Japanese side, or like the East Pacific side of the world, because they're definitely appealing to that crowd. Off first impressions,
I don't know what's going on in that panel, but that looks funny as fuck.
Because I think it's Disney's take.
Is that Sora intimidating the king? Look at that face! Look at he's looking at him like, what the fuck? Bro's intimidating the king from his servants.
On anime and manga, and trying to appeal to the Japanese side, or like the East Pacific side of the world, because they're definitely appealing to that crowd. Off first impressions, I'll give this 8 out of 10. Next, we have Kindergarten Wars by Yu Chiba, and recommended to me by @TheDavidTheory2122. I've actually heard about this from a friend of mine, but I never checked it out, as I didn't think it was gonna be anything. I saw Kindergarten and I just turned away. But let's see.
Bro saw Kindergarten and just walked away.
Whoa. I didn't expect that. Okay, so to sum up this, there's a kindergarten full of children of famous people and people with power around the world. The reason they chose to put their kids in this kindergarten is because it is the safest kindergarten school in the entire world. The reason it's so safe, and hear me out, listen to this, because the teachers are actually ex-convicts, ex-assassins, and literally killing machines. So when I say it's the safest kindergarten, it is literally, quite literally, the safest place on earth. And the first chapter literally was teacher just outsmarting an actual trained assassin. So the story is just super unique, characters as well, and the entire idea seems kind of fresh. So I'm gonna give this one a 10 out of 10, bro. Definitely reading this later. All right, next we have a recommendation from @MegaMasterGamer5487. That's a crazy username. They recommended One Piece. What are we doing here?
What?
All it takes is 2 clicks to check my channel. Guys, just to make it clear, I have read One Piece, okay? This next one is actually from my in real life friend Rachel, but she has no social media, which is a great decision, guys. Social media is bad for you. You should definitely delete it. It's definitely a distraction. Yeah, shout out to Rachel. She recommended that I read Tokyo Ghoul. I'll be completely honest, I have not read all of Tokyo Ghoul, but I did read the first couple of volumes, and man, all I can say is that the creator of Tokyo Ghoul, Suishida, made some of the most beautiful panels I've ever seen. I'll show some right now, because bro, Tokyo Ghoul has some of the best artwork in any manga I've ever read. Also, if you are new to reading manga, this is an amazing beginner manga, bro, and I won't spoil it for you. Yeah, given all that, I'm giving Tokyo Ghoul a 10 out of 10. Obviously, it's popular for a reason, right? Next, we have Undead Unluck, recommended to me by @Soprana Anime and Eternal Nova, who is actually a very close friend, literally my brother, so I expect a lot since he knows my taste in manga and anime. And if he doesn't deliver with his recommendation, I'm going to block him on all social media platforms. Wallahi. After reading this, I had to say, this concept is amazing. Unluck is a girl, and if you touch her, you will literally just become the unluckiest person on earth. And Undead is a guy that cannot die. So you can already see where this is going. He literally tanked an entire meteorite, bro. Like in the first chapter. We met each other due to Unluck attempting to unalive herself. Undead pretty much stopped her and saw her as a way to unalive himself. These characters are amazing, especially this guy, even though he got wasted in 3 pages. I just liked his design, so I'll give this one a 9 out of 10. Eternal Nova, you saved yourself from getting onto my block list. Congrats. The next recommendation is from @DDaddyDanks, which is an absolutely wild username. He recommended that I read The Record of Ragnarok. Again, I pretty much know how this story goes since I watched the anime on Netflix. I will say it's very good. If you have not seen The Record of Ragnarok yet, I advise that you read the manga because it is way better. As I'm looking at it right now, way better than the anime. I won't spoil it completely, but bro, it's basically gods running the ones, bro. I'll give this an 8 out of 10. W panels, W story. The next recommendation comes from @Semikizui, and they said to read Aoru X Kaikenju. The title of this manga translates to Blue Spring X Machine Gun, so I'm assuming there's gonna be a machine gun, but let's see. Okay, so this was interesting to say the least. So this is basically about a guy, or well, it's actually a girl, that came out of debt by winning survival game tournaments and finally started living a normal life at school. But come to find out, she's actually addicted to survival games and guns and things like that. So her former teammates recruit her back onto the team by literally baiting her with her addiction. So she's basically like the best out of them using guns and stuff. Pretty interesting story. I'll give it 7 out of 10. Next, we have The Greatest Estate Designer, recommended to me by @EnderMenin. Okay, I'm not saying that. And bro, I don't even think this is a manga. I'm like 100% sure this is a manhwa off of like Webtoon or something, which is just a Korean version of manga. But Ender, I'll let it slide just this one time, bro, okay? Okay, so I just finished reading, and honestly, at first, it was very boring. I was reading, and I was actually falling asleep, bro, because it seemed like a typical webcomic isekai thing. But I got to the end, and I understood the uniqueness. So this guy was a civil engineer that actually will use his knowledge of civil engineering to renovate his isekai world, because it's kind of ancient. And when he was spawned into this world, he was actually already in debt, so he's going to use his civil engineering to get out of debt. I'm seeing a lot of themes of debt when it comes to these recommendations. Anyways, it was alright, not really my forte, so 5 out of 10. Next, we have Blue Giant, and this was recommended to me by @ShringyBean. Artwork looks pretty interesting already, so yeah, I'll just give this a read. Wow, this might be one of the best recommendations I've received so far. So this guy pretty much just wants to be the best jazz musician, and he shows us that it takes nothing but hard work to be at the top. The fact that this manga heavily would rely on audio and sound, since it's based around music, the artist does such an amazing job illustrating the sounds we would hear by using the facial reactions around our protagonist and using different patterns and schemes to really give us a visual of what the sound may sound like. I actually feel kind of moved from reading this because, bro, having a passion is really what makes you feel alive. I really enjoyed this, and I will be adding this to my must-read list. I'm giving this 10 out of 10 personally. @Darius5022 recommended to me that I read Redo of Healer. And bro, I'll be honest, I have heard about this series already, and I'm not reading it, bro. The premise is that a healer was abused, and he reset his universe and got revenge on everyone who did him wrong. Sounds good, right? You know, very cool plot, honestly. Yeah, nah, it's literally a hentai. Yeah, I'll pass on this one, bro. I heard it was pretty good, though. Next, we have Vinland Saga, which was recommended to me by @Ahealing, who was actually a very good friend of mine. Shout out to you, Ahealing. Amazing recommendation. I watched the anime, bro, so I literally know how it goes already. But the manga is very good.
Wait, you can't fucking do that. You can't be over here shout out your stupid friends. That's not fair to the people who are not your friends. What's the point of asking people if you're just gonna put more of your friends on the fucking list? That doesn't make any sense. That just shows favoritism. Like, what the hell? It's just even more biased because now they know your taste. So there's like, it just defeats all the purpose compared to the people. Now I don't feel bad for the people who keep giving you One Piece.
LOL.
That shit is stupid. Why would you keep doing this? Like, I get it that your friend's just being nice, or in case they be, and I get if you throw like 1 or 2 of them in. But when you just throw most of them and then give them twice on the same list, the fuck is this? No, you should get more One Piece recommendations, you dick.
stories and art I've seen in recent years. So if you have not read it, add it to your list, definitely, please. So I'll give this one 9 out of 10.
That shit pissed me off. Like, what the hell are you doing?
The same guy. Ender recommended that I read Her Summon. Ender, this is your second trike. Honestly, it's your third trike. Not only did you recommend me a webtoon manga again, but it's also his second recommendation, bro. In the rules, I literally... Bro, the fact I'm letting you slide is insane. My guy did not look at the rules, but I'll read it anyways, alright? Shout out to you, Ender. Alright, bro, I read it. Bro, all these webtoons have like a similar feel at the beginning chapters, but this one is not all.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When people ask me what's my favorite anime, I never try to pick like the regular shit that you hear about, because I think that's lame as hell. Like, it's almost a given that people are gonna like those things by just social contagion, or they're gonna like it because they genuinely like it. But if I was them, I would not pick them. No, it's not lame, but I'm like saying it's fucking annoying, because after a while, it's just gonna be like, oh, everyone's saying One Piece, everyone's saying Dragon Ball. I'm like, I get it, but you should pick something else other than those few. Usually people are gonna pick those few anyway, because those are the most recommended, and people don't put the time to think of those things.
That bad, I guess. So this guy basically lost his career as a photographer over an insensitive joke, which I cannot say, and then he turned into an antisocial shut-in and got summoned into a mythical world by a little girl. Yes, this is an isekai, and him being summoned into his mythical world gives him some purpose to live. Pretty cool. And I know some people that are way more into isekais than me, so I know they'll probably like it more than me, so I'll just give this 6.5 out of 10. Next, we have a recommendation from @Mike HL9EC, and he said read 20th Century Boys. Interesting title. I actually wonder what it's gonna be about. Might be like a movie themed manga or something.
Sticking to one thing is not good. It's not good. You should at least try it and explore. If you did, then that's one thing.
Okay, so did not expect this. So these kids basically made these kids basically made a symbol that later becomes a catalyst to the creation of a cult. Very creepy art in some panels, but not very interesting read. Recommend this to you guys. I won't spoil it too much, but yeah, 10 out of 10. @Incog8140 recommended I read Vagabond. I'll let it be known right now that this was actually one of the first mangas I have ever read, and it helped me through a lot, actually, through a rough time. Vagabond is based on a true story of the samurai Musashi on his path to become the greatest swordsman to ever live. That may sound cliche, but this is actually real. But he was more than a swordsman. He was a philosopher and a human being just trying to grow and better himself. This helped me a lot, and I feel like reading this would help a lot of people out. It will help a lot of people just be comfortable with their humanity. Not to mention the beautiful hand-drawn artwork. This one I'm giving 10.
There was one I think I did like. What was it? It was shit, it's gonna be. Oh, I think it was. This might be off-putting, but it was probably Tiger and the other one, the short girl and that blue hair dude. I think it's called Tiger something.
10 out of 10. This one was recommended to me by Indies Nook, which is actually my sister. He's very into fashion, so I'm assuming that this manga.
I guess you guys didn't hear it. Oh wait, you guys can't hear it. I don't think I linked it. Whatever. But anyway, so she asks if I have any favorite like romance animes.
Is in the niche of fashion, but I'll see. As I suspected, this was a manga based around the world of fashion, which is actually super cool. Our protagonist is actually an inspiring fashion designer, and she wants to create a designer brand under her name, kind of like Louis Vuitton or Gucci or like Tommy Hilfiger. She has cool friends and a couple love interests as well. Very chill manga, very slice of life type. Like, I would actually read this just on a cool day. I'm giving this one 7.5 out of 10.
There we go.
Sush2910 recommended to me that I read Gannibal. Bro, this was actually super interesting. This was actually super interesting read from beginning to end, and it's kind of a complex story. I find so I'm gonna try to explain it. I definitely want to dive deeper into the story later though. The main gist is that a police officer moved into a small village where he's replacing another police officer that recently went missing for acting quote-unquote crazy, but in reality that police officer that went missing was actually eliminated. He got killed for telling the truth about the people in the village. And the people in the village are secretly cannibals. So when the old cop kind of caught on and spread that rumor, he died. So now this new cop is here and he's kind of picking up a weird vibe. He knows the whole story about the old cop and trying to be cautious, but he slips up in the first chapter. And the people who are like pro cannibalism kind of like tell him to not mess up so they won't have to kill him. You know, cryptically they're saying this. Anyways, it's kind of creepy. Amazing story though. 9 out of 10.
Sounds
At
interesting.
Raikkonen, she recommended to me that I read Freesia. Looks like an action anime from the cover. Bro's toting an entire pistol, so, you know, expecting action. Alright, this was pretty cool. Main character has the power to sense danger or something like that, along those lines. I really like the art style, but I might have to blur out a lot of these panels. The first chapter, bro was doing the deed over his sleeping mother, I promise you. That was crazy. Like I said, a bit wild, but honestly not that bad. 7 out of 10. Next we have Bakuman from S. Carrasco.
These recommendations are making me want to give up Mars and
Okay, that was actually pretty good. To sum it up, our protagonist pretty much settled on living an average life until he met the smartest kid in Japan that recruits him to become a manga artist with him, and he just wouldn't let it up. He got his crush involved. Pretty much our protagonist's crush wants to become a voice actor, and that's the reason he wanted to become a manga artist, to make a manga that will become popular and be adapted into an anime to which his crush will voice act. I really like this concept. It's kind of goofy. 8 out of 10. Next we have Eden. It's in an endless world, and this was recommended
Some
from
shit.
at
Some weird
the-
shit.
Okay, I actually don't know how to say that. Okay, this one I actually kind of heard about, so I'm expecting it to be good. But also, just to make it clear, I am more into seinen manga and things with like an amazing story or theme, like Dr. Stone, One Piece, like Dr. Stone, One Piece, Vagabond, yeah. Anyway, let's read this bad boy. Guys, I'm not even gonna cap. After reading it, it was very hard getting through the first chapter, bro. Like, I almost fell asleep. It's kind of boring to me. But this is a super post-apocalyptic manga. There's a disease that's spread in the United States that makes your skin harden and your internal organs dissolve. So getting food that isn't contaminated seems like a huge issue. Also, I find it unique how this guy is just so comfortable with his sexuality. He just casually dropped that he's gay. I've actually never seen this before in manga. Pretty cool story though. Definitely needs a deeper read because I was literally falling asleep. I struggled to read that first chapter, bro. 6 out of 10. Next we have Yatsu Bato from at Weeaboo Scourge Killer. That's an amazing username. From the cover art alone, it just looks like this may not be what it seems. I may not like this, bro. There's nothing specific about the cover, but bro, the internet has scarred. As innocent as she looks, she could quite literally have like a Death Note type ability, wiping out thousands of people. But it's not good to assume, so I'm gonna read. Reading this was one of the most refreshing experiences I've had this year. The manga is just a laid-back manga, and you're seeing the world from this little girl's POV. Protagonist Yatsuba reminds me a lot of like Luffy. He has no exact aim or goal in her actions, but does what she enjoys most, which honestly I think everyone should do in life. Just do what you think you enjoy. This little girl just prioritizes living and having a fun life and being kind. 10 out of 10, bro. At MT, okay, I don't know how to say that, recommended Tepu, so let's go. Bro, the first panel is literally our MC rejecting a dude because he's short, bro. Shout out to my short kings. Our protagonist feels like she's good at everything she does, and she has talent in any physical activity, so she becomes bored. A better word to use is she becomes lonely because no one can really relate to her or really on her league, you know? But then at her school, an MMA club starts up, and she's greeted by this very joyful girl that claims that MMA is fun. So to our protagonist, she's like, that's bored. She's like, fun, I want that. So then she's actually challenged physically by the president of the MMA club, and she finds it so fun. She's excited that there's someone that can actually give her a challenge, someone she can finally compete with. But I actually like this story a lot so far, so 8 out of 10. Next we have Mashal, and this was recommended to me by at Big Time Games 3636. And bro, I actually know this one, and I've been meaning to read it for a while, like a very long time. So thank you for recommending to me so I can finally read it. From what I've heard, this guy's literally like Harry Potter, but jacked or something, bro. It's actually goofy when I saw like panels. But yeah, let me just read. Bro, I I actually don't want to spoil you guys because it's kind of how I described it earlier, but it's super funny, bro. It reminds me of One Punch Man in the world of magic. I want all you guys to read this, bro, and tell me what you think. 10 out of 10. Oh my gosh, guys, we are finally here, bro. Like, I'm so happy. 5 months of reading manga on and off. This final one comes from my favorite person of all time, at Karma K15, and she recommended to me that I read Hunter x Hunter. And I actually am caught up with Hunter x Hunter, but it makes me so sad because it has the potential to become the best manga of all time. But sadly, the author Togashi is suffering from an illness. Shout out to Togashi, bro. So he may not be able to continue the story. No doubt, Hunter x Hunter is top 10 anime / manga to ever release. If Togashi finishes the Dark Content arc, which if you don't know what that is, search it up. It has the potential to be one of the best arcs in anime ever. Definitely an easy 10 out of 10. Guys, after 5 months of reading these recommendations on and off, I can finally say I did it and I kept my promise to you guys. I literally said in my next video I would read all these, but I didn't factor in the amount of time and effort I think it would take, and honestly, I kind of enjoyed the journey. Nevertheless, I still wanted to stay true to my word. For a better explanation of how these past 5 months have been for me, please read the pinned comment. Anyway, I'm going to eat Chick-fil-A now.
I'm going to eat Chick-fil-A now. Alright, that was Teferi, or Teferi, I think it's Teferi. Thank you for watching, guys. Like, share, follow, comment, and give him a follow and like if you like what he did here. I think it was entertaining and nonetheless.
LUL.
Pissed me off a little bit, but it's alright. It's okay. So, with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one.